Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune. Let me move this out of the way here. For the 23rd day of November 2020. Well, it'd be nice if it were September. It'd be a little warmer, wouldn't it? Oh, well, it's tried to snow here a couple of times, but it doesn't stay, so we're in that phase of things. Hard to say, though. You never know with winter around here on the high desert. One minute it can be fine, and the next minute you can have 2 foot of snow out there. So, a couple of winters ago, it stayed for 3 months. So, it was after that. We've lived here since '81, and it was after that. We have a 800-foot driveway, and it was after that 3 month, or at the end of that 3 month winter, that we decided to finally buy a snowblower. But in the beginning, they weren't the two-stage ones where you could go across rocks, and we have a gravel driveway. So, it was kind of hard to do that. But, that winter, my husband, who's in his 60s, he shoveled the whole thing 3 times. So, just so we could get out and go to the store. So, because otherwise we couldn't. And where we live, they don't plow the roads right away out here. They just don't. So we're a little more prepared than we've ever been. Plus, he fixed the tractor this last summer, so that was also something he did. So we've got that, and there's a blade on that. So worst case, we can always use the tractor, which I'm sure that's probably what he'll do. But that snowblower is very cool. If you need one and you don't have one, you really ought to move heaven and earth throughout the downtime, during summer and all of that to save your money and get one. Because I'm going to tell you, it really it made all the difference in the world, especially, at his age. He doesn't need to be shoveling an 800-foot driveway 3 times during the year. So, but that was unusual. I don't think in the entire time we've lived here that we've had snow on the ground for that long. So that would have been 2016, the winter of 2016 and 2017. That would have been when that happened. And, oh, I don't want to see that happen again. But anyway, this is Thanksgiving week. I'm going to not do this on Thursday. I'll do this on Wednesday instead. So we'll do it a day early. So Monday and Wednesday this week. And let's see, Esoteric Influences are up on the blog, and so is the video. Also, the Bind Rune is about to be published. I finished it. I'll show you, in fact. It's going to be about a bind rune for fellowship. And so that's what it's going to look like. And I talk about it. I kind of, and I say this in there, I took a note of the fact that, well, let's see, it's Monday and I can't shuffle. I took note of the fact of a witch as an activist. I mean, realistically, that's what magic is. It's an expression of activism where, you don't like what you see, or you want something to be different, or what have you, and, that there's maybe a problem happening or whatever. And even if it's just as simple as working a money spell, you have an issue. You need more income, right? You want to buy something and you don't have the money, and so you work a money spell and hopefully it comes in, right? Well, it's just a way of manifesting change, really, or demanding it. And I think that, I mean, it's like when we've lived in what's known as a gaslit nation now for the last 4 years or better, and where there is no truth, and the people that you should be able to trust, you can't. I mean, let's face it, we've never trusted politicians anyway, any further we can throw them. But there are those that are a little more trustworthy than others. And what we have right now is the bottom of the barrel. And that's just the truth. So that's why he didn't win, even though he keeps thinking he did. When everything is predicated upon a lie, something's got to change. And since whatever divisions were there were simply, he used it to stoke even more and to cause so much chaos between us that now you've got a segment of the population that thinks it's okay to harm other people. That's just normal. It's just another day if you harm someone. Well, no. So this is a bind rune here today for the week rather, that's talking about fellowship and how it's our natural state, really. I know it doesn't feel like it, does it? But it is. We're souls. And in that state, which is what we actually are, the body's just an illusion. All this is just a little playground, from the mind of the creator to give us a space to, learn more about the tangible human condition, at least in our sense, the human condition. For other creatures, maybe it's something else, but at least for us, that's what this is, right? Some humanoid type condition that we all live in. As we progress on, we have to progress on spiritually, maybe even more so than anything else, so that fellowship and joy and love and all of that are the ground floor, instead of this movable thing we've got right now where nobody knows anything, right? So anyway, if you want to check that out, I have to read it over and make some, I'm sure I have to edit it a little bit because I was working on it this morning. I started it yesterday, but I was working on it this morning when I got up. I finally got up about 6 and came in here and started writing. But the rune for today is Othala, by the way. And let's do the geomancy rune here while we get ready to take the cards. I think I've shuffled enough. Oh, populace. Well, it represents the group. The opposite of it, the complement, is via, so it'd be a single line of dots. But here, and via is a little more active in terms of the energetic effect. This is more passive, so this is group behavior. Now, the thing about via and populace is that it really is indicative of the group itself that you're with. So if you're with a bunch of crazy people, then you're going to be crazy too. You're going to align, in other words, with the fundamental energy of that group. Otherwise, if you're around a bunch of positive people, then you're going to align that way. It's sort of you're passively going along with the crowd, right? So if we can sort of, Athala is about tradition and about inheritance and ancestry, and it's really the collective. It's the collective manifested into form. And all that we learn while we're here, it contains that as well. So all over the lifetimes, of humanity, that's Othala. And I think that when we view people as the enemy or the other, instead of the other side of self, which is what they are, then we lose sight of the Othala within, and we find it difficult to remain in populace with one another. So I'm hoping, the bind rune for the week can be used as a focus, as a reminder, as a way to invoke fellowship, especially, to have thanks. It's almost like we should just cancel Thanksgiving in a way, but on the other hand, maybe it is what we need to remind us of who we are to one another. And for those that have lost people, it's over 250,000 people. It's over 250,000 people. And those are just the ones that are reported. So we know we hit that number far earlier than just now, right? But we've lost them, and they won't be here. And we can't be together, although there will be those that will. I said this, I think, on the Esoteric Influences yesterday, that we have a sheriff in the next county over that wrote a letter to our governor and said, I'm not going to enforce your rules to stay apart on Thanksgiving. I'm not going to do any of that. People can do what they want. Well, yeah, sure, they can do what they want, but fire that sheriff. There's a couple in our state that have also signaled that any gun laws, they won't enforce them. Fire them. It's that simple. You're not going to enforce the rule. You're not going to enforce the law. We don't need you. I don't know, but yet we sit here and we twiddle our thumbs and we do nothing, right? Again, it's the tradition, it's the ancestry, it's the fundamental ground floor level of who we are. Now, it's the 24th rune of the Elder Futhark, so it's the last one. And really it's comprised by Ingus and by Kenaz, actually two runes that are part of the bind rune for the week. But realistically, we have to understand that we're in this together. And if we are choosing to stay apart following the guidelines over the holidays, which we are, you know, I read a thing where a guy, his mom is 91. She doesn't have a computer. She can't do Facebook, doesn't have anything. No iPad, just telephone. Probably a cell phone, but maybe not. Maybe it's just a telephone. She's 91. They've agreed that, they'll call each other on Thanksgiving, but they're not going to get together. She's 91. It's sad she can't be with her family. But they want to keep her safe, and she wants to stay safe. So maybe next year when she's 92, she can see them, right? I don't know why people don't understand that. Anyway, let's take a look at the cards. And as always, I'm going to take the 13th one each time for randomness sake. I shuffle, but I can draw the same doggone cards as I had the day before, so that's why I do it. Anyway, for those of you who are new, if this is your first time here, welcome. Oh, my goodness. This is a four of cups. Cups is the water element, so we're talking our emotions. And this guy is in a pity party. His back up is back up against the tree. He's got his arms and legs crossed. He's got a pout on his face. He can't see what's being offered to him. He can't see the compassion and the protection and the love and the joy and the fellowship that's being offered to him. I'm just going to sit there and pout. Perspective affects emotions, or maybe the emotion is what affects the perspective. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Here we have the World, the last card of the Major Arcana, card 21. We come full circle. We see the hermetic expressions of the four elements in the corners. We see the lemniscate on the top and the bottom. The lemniscate or the figure eight indicates that it's never-ending energy, okay? Never-ending energy. It's a never-ending cycle. And with the World, we come full circle. And maybe we have right now collectively come full circle to where it's become painfully apparent that especially with the election and what's going on right now, that we have to come together. This is the time to do that, whether you want to or not. You have to accept the truth of what happened. And we have to be able to move forward now in a peaceful transition, but of course they don't want to do that. Instead, they come out and they lie and they lie and they lie and they lie because they can't see it, right? They think that they are somehow entitled to have what they have instead of letting our vote decide. I mean, that used to be just the way it is, okay, one side's going to win. It's just a given. It may not be the one that's currently in office. Might be the other party. It happens. It's happened. Let's see, how many times have I seen a one-term president? Well, okay, Carter was a one-term president that I have memory of. Carter was a one-term president. So was HW. He was, um, because Clinton beat him for his second term. Clinton beat him, and Clinton was in for 2 years, or 2 years, 2 terms, and then Bush was elected by the Supreme Court the first time, and then he was actually only elected once by the people, and then as far as I'm concerned, but he was there for 2 terms, and then Obama was there for 2 terms, and then now this guy's got to go because, geez. But here we have the Knight of Wands. Knights are protective. The Wands is the fire element. And so you're talking the will. And there's all this orangeness. His horse is even orange. But the other thing the knights did is they would go on pilgrimages to the Holy Land, and so there you see the Egypt right there with the 3 pyramids. And so he's literally on a quest on behalf of everyone to the Holy Land. Again, you can think of that in terms of a focus on spirit and a return to spirit, because in a sense he's moving toward the past. If you were going the other way, then it would be toward the future. Like the Knight of Pentacles, for example, is headed in a different direction, the opposite direction of this one. But here he's valiantly riding forth in service to spirit and in service to truth. As we come full circle with the world. So we can stay stuck in the emotion of it all, right? I'm going to do a 4th card here. We can stay stuck in the emotion of it all and be unable to move anywhere. But I suspect that the emotion we're talking about here is grievance. Grievance that gets blown out of proportion. It's not that what people are upset about at any given time isn't valid, because typically it is, but sometimes it grows exponentially to a place where then you feel justified to then harm people in the process. Maybe you get angry and you go out and you shoot up a mall. That's one example of it. I think that happened the other day, and I read that they thought it was a white male in his did they say white male in his 20s or 30s, turned out to be a 15-year-old boy. And I don't know if this was Wisconsin or Minnesota or Michigan. It seemed like it was somewhere back there, but I'm not sure of where it took place. But a 15-year-old boy's been arrested. So you see how you have a combination of emotions run amok and the lack of discernment to really know how to best deal with whatever your issues are. But you see a hand reaching out from some brown clouds there, holding a chalice, and he can't even look at it. And if he's seeing the cups on the ground, he's not going to grab any of them. He's not going to grab any emotional fulfillment. He's going to stay in his own pity party. And it feels like that's the either or nature of what's been going on in our lives. Pity party versus trying to stay the course and have hope and try to make some sense out of things. Whereas the pity party doesn't care, because the pity party is all there is for this person, right? So if you're going through that right now, you've got to release it. You've got to let it go. It doesn't mean that you let go of the issue that you're concerned about, but the issue needs to be couched in truth and not in fantasy of what you think is going on. Make sure it's actually what's going on. Because let's face it, the issues that so many deal with, they're harsh. You don't need to embellish. You don't need to find some conspiracy theory to back any of it up. All you got to do is try to fix the problem and bring truth to it. You do the other and it clouds everything completely, and then nobody takes you seriously. See? Well, again, another card of spirit, even though it's quite religious in nature. The Hierophant actually represents the Pope. You see the triple crown up there, a triple level crown. He sits between two pillars. So we're talking about spiritual balance here, knowledge, mastery, tradition, structure. You see the keys of Solomon down there below. You see the monks on bended knee before him. He's holding a right hand up to spirit. You see on his scepter the three levels here. You can see that. Likely symbolizing the Trinity. Mind, body, spirit. And in case of Catholicism, well, I shouldn't even attempt it because I'm not Catholic, but you've got Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Maybe is that what it is? So you have maybe you have higher self or spirit. You have the Creator spirit, and maybe the ego, maybe man, humans. But however you want to term the triple aspect of this, it's also there in his crown as well, the papal crown. But what the Hierophant symbolizes for all of us in our everyday life is the spiritual teacher within, the divine presence within. Again, we have a knight that's galloping back to take care of that, to reestablish that, to preserve that, to protect spirit, to protect the relationship that we have. That's the higher resonance relationship. Now, maybe we don't manifest that here in form, but it's there nevertheless. All we have to do is acknowledge it and turn to it and go that way, right? In preservation of that truth, which is what I think the Knight of Wands is doing. He's dynamic. You can see by the red color everywhere. But he's a warrior, he's in battle attire. Your knights are always in battle attire. So they're a warrior, but in this case, he's the spiritual warrior for truth. And the truth of spirit, the truth of who we are. Again, we can align together in populace and head in the same direction. It might be multi-layered, that's okay, as long as we're going in the same direction. We got other ideas of what that looks like, that's fine. You don't have just simply one plant growing in your garden or one flower growing in your garden, in your flower beds. There's lots of things. We like diversity, and diversity of opinion, diversity of direction, as long as it's going in the unified one, that's fine. And it helps enhance and create a better foundation and tradition. It's also tradition is also included in the Hierophant. And I know we can get into the whole religious structure stuff and the fallacy with all of that, but it's interesting. You would think that churches would be telling their people to stay home. We can do this online. We can, you don't have to come here to worship God. You don't. It's in each one of us. And so you would think that they wouldn't make a big deal of this, that they would support health and living and life. But no, it's become a sticking point for some. Oh no, we have to go to that building. No, you don't. What if there was a massive fire and it burned everything down? Where's your building then? If you can't sustain your faith outside of that building, something's wrong. You need to take a look at it. Find the spirit within. Understand, this is a process. It's a cycle. We're going to come, it's going to ebb and flow, right? Everything does. But at the end of the day, we have to be willing to see the truth and to see what's being offered, instead of instantly deciding, oh, that's not enough, Or, oh, I'm not going to look at that. Or, oh, I don't want that from you. Well, this reminds me of I don't get to do what I want. So I'm just going to sit here, and not talk to anybody. I'm angry. I'm not getting to do what I want. I'm not getting things aren't happening the way I want them to, you know. And right now, this is a time where we have to set those concerns aside because of the pandemic we're in. That's simply on the rise. It's exploding throughout the country. And if we gather together over Thanksgiving, our hospitals may be stressed beyond their capacity come Christmas. And that's what they're saying. That's what the medical professionals are saying. Please don't do this, right? As much as we want to, especially now that with people that have lost people, to not be able to get together over the holidays and just be together with people that are still here. It's hard. And nobody's saying that it isn't. So you have to figure out a way to do it and be inclusive and not leave anybody out of your thoughts. Get on the phone, call them up. The family of the 91-year-old woman is going to do that. They're not going to leave her alone, even though physically she might be. They're going to call her. They're going to talk to her. They're going to, share their love of her with her. So she isn't alone. But I think when you see a country that's so divided, it's easy to feel alone, isn't it? So, because you feel like your neighbors around you are not people you can talk to anymore. Or maybe you have family that you can't talk to anymore because of what's gone on over the last few years. This is what this man has done to all of us. He did this. He took advantage of something that was already there, but under the surface enough that we could still get on with life, that we could still interact with one another. But now he's ratcheted things up so badly now that I don't know when we'll be able to do that again. So, we're going to have to, right? At some point, we're going to have to drop the fear, drop the pain, drop whatever it is, right? And we're going to have to come back together. And it's going to have to be sooner than later. But how that will take place, I don't know. So I think the focus, though, of the reading today is the value of unity in terms of the legacy and tradition that we all share. That surely the issues are not to the point where, suppressing the vote so that this nutty man stays in power. Surely it's not that. Surely that's not the world we have to look forward to. Or to have to worry about a neighbor shooting you because you're the wrong political party. Or some 15-year-old kid who goes and shoots up a mall. That cannot be our future. That cannot be our tradition. It cannot be our legacy. So I think that for us to come back together, we have to remember that this could be anything we want it to be. But what remains is spirit. And if we just pay attention to that voice within, that voice that says, be kind, be loving, be helpful, be there for one another. If we can just hear that, then the rest is fixable. It's about sitting down and listening to one another, and if something's going wrong in someone's life, see what we can do to fix that. What can we do to make it better? You know, what can we do to help instead of harm? If someone raises their voice in protest on a march, the police don't come in and beat them. They're not doing anything but marching. They're making their voice heard. They're speaking truth to power. It's not time to come and hurt them. Any more than it's time for a bunch of guys to show up with weapons and come. I saw this on Labor Day. There was a video here, I think it was in Salem. Big, huge, I don't know what it was, but it's all concrete, right? Flat area. You got protesters on one side, over by a fence or something. They're walking. These guys come running. They make a beeline for these people. They start kicking and beating them. What is that? We can't do that's illegal. And yet, it's just the way it is now, isn't it? You've got a group of people that want to go and kidnap and kill the governor of Governor Whitmer. Who does that? Who brings long guns into a Capitol? Into a Capitol building during legislative session? Who does that? That shouldn't happen here. That's not how you deal with problems. But if you live within the us versus them reality, well, maybe you do. But it's not a message of spirit. It's a message of ego. And it makes us not be able to listen or to accept anything that's offered. So I guess that's it. I think that with the world here, the 21st card, I think that what it's trying to tell us is that we're going to get up tomorrow and we're still going to have to meet our challenges. But if we do it together, we can maybe find solutions that we didn't even realize were possible. But if we simply want to harm others, we aren't going to get there. So, anyway, that's it. We'll talk again Wednesday. Remember, Wednesday, not Thursday, because Thursday's Thanksgiving. And because I'm going to be cooking a turkey for my husband and myself. Because we can't see our kids right now. So we can't gather together. And so we'll talk to them. Maybe we'll do a Zoom thing. I don't know. We'll see. But I would love to do that because I would love to talk to my grandchildren and let them know I love them and let my children know I love them and my daughters-in-law know that I love them. And that maybe we can see one another in the summer. So, but that's okay because I would rather that they be safe. I would rather that we all stay alive so that we indeed have a future together. So, but that comes from a place of spirit, being able to see the bigger picture, and not from the place of immediacy and ego. So, anyway, that's it. We'll talk to you Wednesday. Have a good day and wear a mask if you go out around anyone at all. Of course, we should probably all be trying to stay home right now if we can. I mean, if you got to go to work, you got to go to work, obviously. But, you know, if you're around other people, whether you're inside or out, wear a mask. All right? And not just over the mouth, over the nose. Anyway, be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.